Welcome back, one and all, to the EMEA Masters. I am still just Society. I'm joined by the absolutely fantastic Jamada as we are going to be bringing you our second game of our coverage of Group Number B. It is going to be FUT Esports versus Aegis, and I think right now Aegis they need something to come up right now, because this is quickly starting to run away from them. Yeah, something needs to come up Aegis, otherwise, yeah, troublesome. You know, we say the uphill battle can start at 0-2. The uphill battle very rarely ends in your favor if you
Mount Everest starts at 0-3.
Yeah. It is a very rare occurrence that you see a team make it in to the top 2 from a 0-3 scoreline, and at the times that they do, it's a history-making moment. So for Aegis, yeah, they need to take down FUT here to at the very least give themselves a half-decent opportunity to make it in to the quarterfinals. And I guess also if they do manage to take down this win, then they also need Matchco probably to beat Movistar as well, just to make it as even a playing field for as many teams as possible at the same time. Yeah, absolutely. But we're going to be looking out at the roster lineups here, because the first time we're going to be seeing FUT, and there's a couple of names here that I'm looking at and going, I recognize those guys, specifically in the top lane, StarScreen, a guy who's gone to the World Championship stage, now finding himself in the EMEA Masters. A lot of expectations for this league when they got brought in, you know, under the kind of, you know, the European kind of umbrella. Yeah, definitely. You know, moving away from the international stage towards the EMEA setting is definitely a huge change up. And, you know, you mentioned familiar names for yourself. For me, it's actually Tempt and Fatihcan coming from the NLC from last year in 2020. Yeah. X7 and Riddle, respectively, there. Very strong individuals. Not surprised to see them back on this stage at all. And we're a very strong roster from a very strong region. So, like you say, the expectations very high, just on the simple basis of, you know, the whole accredited system as well. They've come in with main slots for the TCL, so this is a team and a region that wants to do well in their first showing here at this tournament. Yep, absolutely, and of course we can have a look at Aegis as well. We talked about it, they're 0-2 right now. They cannot go 0-3. It just becomes so hard for them, and honestly it does feel like, you know, this team needs to try and figure out what went, like, where's the mojo? You know, it feels like the team from the regular LFL split is gone, and we were just being replaced with, you know, I don't know, like skin suits, if you will, coming into this one here, because there was 1 or 2 moments where they were able to get, you know, Movistar right into trade, but outside of that, it just felt very, you know, for lack of a better term, skewed. Yeah, I see what you did there. Yeah. Gotta be sharp. Gotta be sharp. Gotta be sharp. Unfortunately, Aegis haven't been so far, and I think that's the unfortunate fact of the matter. You know, we've referenced their playoffs run as not particularly being, you know, it was quite frustrating from their perspective. There was quite a few games where, you know, from their end, they definitely should have closed out. They definitely should have been able to have won quite a few more than they ended up going. You know, 3-1, 0-3. That's not necessarily representative of, you know, the strength that they, at the very least, temporarily exhibited at times in the playoff setting. But, you know, they did come from very deep in from the regular season, so, you know, they need to find themselves now. That's the important thing, because, like we mentioned, go 0-3 down, it's a Mount Everest climb. Forget the steep hill, it's a mountain. Yeah, it becomes so much harder, and of course for FUT, they want to go to 2-1. That would be very nice for them. I think a lot of people weren't expecting to be dropping the Matchco there earlier today, so we'll see what they could kind of bring up into this particular one. But I am going to keeping my eyes very much glued onto, you know, the jungle kind of setup right now. I do feel like, you know, we saw in that last game that the junglers had such a huge emphasis and just kind of a sway of how these games ended up playing out. So for both these teams, it's going to be about, you know, kind of where they're able to make their advantages known. Yeah, absolutely agree. I think for Aegis, you know, how much priority do you want to put on the kind of draft where you don't necessarily have a whole bunch of agency like you just did, right? Do you feel like FUT will run you over? You know, having first-hand experience of watching Fatihcan, watching Tempt, these guys are very proactive players when they want to be, and they won't necessarily just let you guys scale up for free, and I imagine FUT will come in with that same mentality. I've seen them do it quite a few times, to be honest with you. So for Aegis, how much proactivity do you want to strip away from FUT in that same argument? How much proactivity do you really want to draft to yourself? Because it felt like you were quite limited in the previous game until you really got to about 25 minutes, or, you know, even almost 30 with that kind of competition where it was all front to back. Yeah, and we see hell of a lot of AD carries being taken out. Zeri's still up and available. We'll see if FUT want to go for it or not, but you might think to themselves, no, we want the jungler to be confirmed here. So, I mean, I feel like you got to take the Zeri right now with the Draven taken away, the Aphelios, the Xayah. I mean, maybe the Jinx is just a bit of a higher one here right now for Shiganari. what I wouldn't mind here is if Aegis are eyeing up the Jinx Tahm Kench, because at this point for FUT, if you do go towards this Jinx angle, then it will be Zeri and it will probably be Rakan. But again, Rakan is up and available, didn't get banned away, still very strong in this patch. So for FUT, I imagine that will be the rotation. It just depends on how Aegis really want to draft around it. What jungle do they want to prioritize as well? Do they want Jarvan again? I feel like if you're into Zeri, the champion is kind of mediocre at best in the later stages. Early game, yeah, you can definitely punish the Zeri, but how much use will we really get out of it? I'd like to see something a little more skirmish heavy, away from team fighting, and then you try and draft the team fighting tools away outside of the jungle, perhaps. We'll see what Aegis want to do. This is actually kind of a nice middle route. I don't mind this, actually, Sejuani being up, because it can supplement those early skirmishes if you've got melee solo laners in particular, but then also, of course, we know the team fighting prowess that this champion can bring to the table, so no major complaints there for me as FUT now have the opportunity to lock in the Zeri. They are hovering over this Varus, and I mean, lane count.
Are they Giga Chads?
Are they Giga Chads?
They are Giga Chads.
Okay.
No more Zeri. Give me the Varus. I love that.
Yeah, all right. You know, man after, or a team after my own heart, as they also go towards the Olaf. So just setting up for a strong top side. Oftentimes when you have a Sejuani, and now it depends on the team that you're playing against, but you'll see combinations of pairings like this with the Jax, where it will be strong 2v2s on the top side, 2v2 in the mid lane. Someone like Silas as well could come in for Eika if they're looking for something a little more aggressive. The Olaf there to try and shut that down. He's a 2v1, 1v1 monster. Even yesterday we actually saw the other Turkish in the representatives get kind of run over by the Olaf pick. So FUT using this one to potentially come out with a bit of a lead on the top side, but Aegis removing away the Renata for now. We'll see what else they also look to take off the table. I imagine Aegis would definitely be trying to eye up a Tahm Kench, but FUT almost no doubt will be looking to try and remove that away.
What I'm trying to go for, yeah, the Orianna gets taken away here from Eika. They're not going to be able to try and get him back onto something that he's very, very comfortable on. Historically just done exceptionally well, but right now, especially in that last game, didn't really have the same level of impact you would expect from such a veteran player within the French and, of course, European scene. Where else do you want to try and bring this one here? I like the fact that you're getting rid of Renata. Maybe another aggressive support taken away might be the call here. But we'll see what... Yeah, the Nautilus makes a lot of sense to me here. Honestly, I would like to see FUT just ban away the Tahm Kench and make sure that that bot lane is as volatile as possible so they can make, you know, advantages for themselves.
Yeah, now the only reason why you would maybe want to let Tahm Kench go through is if you're looking at something like Karma, so you're trying to get full lane priority on the bottom side. Try and break the tower super early, because Jinx plus Tahm Kench can't necessarily put up with all of that poke at the same time, so that could be what FUT are looking towards. We'll see whether or not they feel like they want to just take it away for the sake of it. They go to the Rakan ban, so they don't want the Rakan themselves, and they don't want Aegis with the team fighting engaged tools that they currently have to have that one either. But I feel like for the French side, even if they go towards something aggressive like the Leona, just to strip it away as a team fighting option for FUT, you still potentially run into the issue of a full poke lane. I think Thresh is probably the best middle ground here, where you can't necessarily pick a poke mage like Karma or anything, you know, a little more out there, just for the sake of potentially getting all in. So I like this. Also still provides a safety net. It's just not as necessarily consistent as, of course, the gobble that Tahm Kench will provide. But now it just kind of presents the question of what will Asper go towards in this bottom side 2v2.
Yeah, I like what you said as well about the Thresh compared to the Tahm Kench. It does feel like the Thresh gives you a nice middle ground, but it does mean that you're going to be relying on Shiganari to not be charmed, to not be CC'd by the Chain of Corruption, to not be already caught out in order to get him out. That's the big difference in between those kind of two big kind of get-out-of-jail-free cards. As FUT do lock themselves in the Ahri for Tempt, plenty to be able to work from there. I can see Nymeria already setting himself up in front of his TV, ready to criticize whatever's going to be going on. Blitzcrank for Asper. Getting a little bit of kind of Turkish flair right now for FUT. A very aggressive composition all in all.
Yeah, you know, we spent a lot of playoffs looking at on the Blitzcrank pick. Feel like we've never left home, have we? FUT will take that one in. So, of course, just the 2v2 and the 1-to-1 counter with Thresh. And, you know, as with all Blitzcrank picks, it doesn't necessarily matter what you do achieve or don't achieve per se. It's about what you do, right? You can miss hooks for 20 minutes in a row, but if you hit that one hook, it just takes one. That's the irritating thing about Blitzcrank in pro play. You can be as useless as you like, but as soon as you hit a hook onto this Jinx, onto this Cassiopeia, and you immediately murder them, your job's done. So for Aegis, like we just mentioned, Cassiopeia comes in. More backwards movement, I think, looking at the FUT composition, because there is a lot of, you know, medium-esque range champions and short-range champions on the top side that definitely want to walk into you. looking at the Cassiopeia as just an answer to try and shred through those health bars. I like that. And of course, they'll always be able to turn around with the Thresh, with the Sejuani. So for Aegis, similar kind of deal to last game, but a couple of more proactivity tools. I think this is a nice middle round to land on, especially after that game we just watched from them.
Yeah, I do think it's going to be a little bit better for them to be able to try and make aggressive plays. And Tahm Kenchi's kind of that after the fact kind of setup. You can throw a Tongue Lasher too, but it's just not going to have that, as we saw from Alvaro, that level of consistent kind of pick potential with those hooks. So really curious to see what we're able to kind of see from this bot lane, because I do think that in the last one, Aegis' bot lane was just straight up outmatched. I feel like Supa was just doing so much more with that Xayah compared to the Jinx there for Aegis. So we'll see if anything does end up changing in this game, but we are going to be jumping onto the Rift for our 5th game of the day, our second one on our particular duo cast. It's going to be a big one. You got to think for Aegis, you know, you're kind of coming up against this and kind of saying, look, you've only got a couple more games after here. As Lot
30 seconds until
not going to be caught out there by the hook. And that's going to be Asper just saying, you know what, it's okay. I'll get the next one.
Next one's mine. You miss every shot you don't take.
And you lose mana for everyone you do. Just calling a spade, but again, we're going to see kind of decent one. I like that Asper's going for the Glacial Augment. This is something that I've really loved seeing on Blitzcranks in general. It does seem like a no-brainer, but the Glacial Augment is so powerful early, especially when you don't have that much movement on AD carries, or even on mid laners, to be perfectly honest. If he catches onto Ike or onto this Jinx, they're going to find it very difficult without a flash to get away.
Yeah. Glacial, something we've seen just generally rise, like since it's been reworked, God knows how long ago it was now. I think it's almost been the way it is for about 2 years. Do see it come in as an option, and like you mentioned, it just sort of adds that slightly added layer of stickiness that the Blitzcrank honestly oftentimes doesn't even necessarily need, but it just gets really obnoxious in the early game. I mean, sometimes you walk up into melee range, hit W, hit E, knock them up, and then they're just slow on the floor. And yeah, I mean, even though you'd almost always hit the hook anyway, it's just that extra bit of, damn, I really don't get to move, do I?
You are not allowed to play League of Legends. Try again later. And yeah, we'll see what this Blitzcrank can do. This is the thing, though. I always see a Blitzcrank like Draven stacks, where it's like, it's great, it's exciting, we get to talk about it a lot. But if it doesn't happen, it's also not great to have that in your game. It's also not a great thing for the team with it to try and, you know, rely on that, because it kind of becomes all-encompassing, and it can be a thing that can scale against you in the long term of the game. But we'll see what ends up happening here. We do have some early pressure coming out from the top side of Aegis as they look to try and make sure this Jax has a decent time into the Olaf.
Skewmond will be popping away from him though, so Lot will just drop his ward and just slowly stack this wave up and crash it in. Olaf, oftentimes you'll see he will just take, you know, complete control of a lane, and just pretty much from level 1, to be honest with you. But Jax is one of the few champions where you can't necessarily afford to get away with that, right? The Counter-Strike, such a powerful tool, even at level 1. The passive as well, Lethal Tempo. You can just kind of get stat checked, even by the Jax at level 1. StarScreen, however, I think it's very interesting to note that he's gone for the barrier. Doesn't have the ghost. So definitely leaning very heavily, in my mind, into the 1v1. Perhaps just feeling like he doesn't necessarily need the ghost to stick onto the other backline carries of Aegis later on. We'll see how that payoff works out for him, right? Barrier can be very, very powerful at times where maybe you pop the W and then you hit the barrier and all of a sudden you've got like 400 shield. And it's extra health that Aegis have to get through before they can merge you, and your life stealing up in that time as well. As Lot finds his way onto Mojito here, but I don't really feel like it's going to stop him from getting the Skull Crab.
I was going to say, Mojito doesn't have to show that he doesn't have the smite, as Lot does not really have that information to hand, as you see full clears from both junglers and to get themselves on that bot side. That sentence does absolutely nothing, but we are going to see a hook come in, and the flay already is from there. The Jinx traps go down and stop Asper from moving. First blood goes over to Aegis, and that's a much cleaner start here for the French representatives.
Yep, real easy cleanup. They might even be able to deny Fatihcan this wave if they really want to. Mojito's on his way, wrapping down, so that should just be about enough safety to walk back up to this wave, but real nice pickup. Does go on to Skewmond, so maybe not the best target, but I think it was just Aftershock, which actually gave him the kill credit. Happens to the best of us, as Mojito actually falls victim to that weird change they made where if the main monster is dead, the rest of the camp dies. Very sad. But just take a look at the play here. It's you know, oftentimes you'll see the Thresh get the hook in and then bring the lantern, back out and then fly, and then the lantern will be dragged along with you. Kind of opposite setup there. Unfortunate timing for Asper.
Yeah, a bit unfortunate. Little bit unfortunate. But yeah, good start for Aegis. Gets himself first blood on the board. Gets them onto a decent kind of move. Hantera and Asper now in a bit of a trouble. Actually, it's not even Hantera in trouble. He's going to be landing a hook there. Immediately the miasma goes down, and Asper not having a good start to this game at all. Kind of looking for engages that are really not in their wheelhouse. And that is a kill going over to the Cassiopeia. That is just unfortunate there for the side of FUT.
Yeah, unfortunate. A little bit unnecessary as well. As Asper kind of just gives himself over. Bit of a donation. See whether or not Aegis can use it. Flash hook. What did we say about Asper and Blitzcrank earlier on when he was coming onto the roof? You missed every shot you don't hit. Something like
true.
That. Or you miss every shot you don't take, rather. Not hit. As a Tempt. Oh my goodness me.
One more auto attack would be good, and it is. Tempt gets the 1v1 in mid lane despite Hantera hardering off in the wings.
Yeah, I mean, Tempt hits level 6 in the middle of that wave, and Eika eats the charm. That's what sets that up and gets punished for his time. StarScreen level 6. I mean, he wants it. Does he have the health bar?
Yeah, those junglers are here. Does he have the health bar? He has the barrier. That's the big key difference here. So
he's gonna. Oh, God.
You're gonna see it. They're gonna see him go into the Ragnarok straight away. Does he have enough to try and turn this one back? The barrier doing exactly what it needs to do. Mojito is around to try and jump onto Lod, who flashes away, but he shall not get away from the Monkey King. And now Skewmond needs to figure out where his exit strategy is going to be. It might have to be his flash as he gets hit by the undertow. One or two more would be enough to take him down. They cannot go underneath the tower, but it is a great counter tank there for FUT. Gets them onto an even footing.
Yeah, very, very nice turnaround there from FUT. Very surprised that StarScreen didn't actually stick it more, to be honest with you. I think with the barrier, with the W, you get that load. I don't think you're getting bursted out with Mojito right there, but just paying off a little bit of respect, and would much rather take the 1-for-1 as lot.
I mean, he's going to be fine at the moment until that counter strike. He jumps back in, leap strike right on top of it. There's still a barrier to go. He still kept it, but Eika makes the roam up, and they do trade it back. So it's a 2-for-1 in favor of Aegis. And this game's already starting to get a bit scrappy, Nightmare. Or not your Nightmare, your Jamada.
Well, Ahri's on the rift. I know why it's on the rift.
I got confused, I know. Yeah, well, no more. There's going to be a switcheroo, and you're taking the lantern all the way back in as well. Shiganari has been betrayed. Has to flash away. And oh my God, Jamada, it's all kicking off.
It is indeed, man. Shiganari takes that chunk, or take the chunk from the charged up tower shot as well. Half HP from 1. Fatihcan's art just barely flies wide on the turnaround, and Aegis kind of just give over a 2v2. Sort for free. Get a look here at the top side as Lot holds onto his Q for a really long time. Counter-Strike deals a lot of damage. Quite a few abilities actually dodge down, which makes that E deal so much more. Barrier comes out, and fortunately for StarScreen, Eika doesn't hit his R-key pretty much instantly to stun him up. Gives him the opportunity to get the trade kill at the very least. Eika, 2 kills now as well. Just kind of silently got them as, oh no. How's this going to go?
Ooh. There's a Cyclone coming in. They're going to get Hantera picked up by the hook, and that means he's on the wrong side of this fight. Cassiopeia goes down. You have no more consistent damage, and the Thresh has nowhere to go. They'll give that one over the Tempt, and it was all just a little bit too tempting for Aegis.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what they're really looking for here, going in so far deep. Obviously, to be fair, it's not exactly common to just immediately go for a rotation like that and just have 2 people waiting in the bush. It's pretty unlucky timing, but at the same time, not having every single member quite on top of each other doesn't really work out for them. They also don't have the petrifying gaze, which just makes this rotation a little bit, more risky. If you have that ultimate this early on, it can be so powerful, right? We spoke about how strong it can be into the top side of the map. Very short range carries. Not available there. And it means that Aegis lose their members and the Herald.
See if Skewmond wants to try and make something work in this top side. I will say StarScreen lucky to get that level up, means keeps him fairly healthy coming up towards this top side. Will have the Ragnarok available to him. No barrier, no flash, and that's just going to be Skewmond saying, all right, break it up. No need to stay here. Lot taking so much damage. from those undertows and underneath his own tower. He is struggling to try and keep up in CS here.
I actually really like the adaptation as well from his skills. I'm not sure if observers, if we can click back on StarScreen just briefly, because he's maxing his E. So the reason he's doing that is he knows that realistically undertow chase down, sure it's likely, but you always got to worry about the counter strike, and it's very hard to trade into Jax with that in mind. So what he's doing with that max is just using it for poke, basically. You saw him, right? Just waiting on the edge of the tower range every time Lot walks up for a creep. Just bop him on the head with an E. It's like 300 true damage when it's maxed out. It's really, really powerful. And you can see Lot definitely struggling to, you know, stay in front of StarScreen inside the lane. He's not down too much CS right now, but certainly the pressure is being felt at the moment.
For sure, and I love that you bring up a point as well. You're a bit of an Olaf aficionado yourself. I've seen your streams. You have plenty of things to work with. The Blitzcrank hook does not kind of land onto anything. I love that skin, by the way, for Blitzcrank. I don't like to talk about skins, but it's one of the few ones I like because it's Blitz and Crank. They're two little little cats in the suit. It's very cute. Very cute.
Yeah. You know what I was really surprised about I'll wait because maybe a play happens. No, Hex Slash isn't going anywhere. I was really surprised that Blitzcrank is actually playable in comp now. Because I can't remember who it was I saw pull out the skin recently, but for years that skin you couldn't use that skin in comp because the hook looks a little bit
Oh, Blitzcrank?
Yeah, Blitzcrank.
Yeah. It was because it didn't have an arm, so it was really hard to see the actual just hand. You couldn't actually tell how long it went. So yeah, that wasn't a lot. It's like I think it's Black Alistair as well is also banned in comp. There's a couple of skins that are, you know, continuity errors.
Yeah, but I like that Blitz and Crank skin. Very, very adorable. That whole line actually is a very, very good line
very
skins,
cool.
to be honest. Very creative. Skin team is always up to scratch. As whilst we were talking about Blitzcrank skins, FUT on that side, we have a little bit of pressure gained from just Asper existing, right? Being in Fog of War, very scary for Aegis to walk in. They just killed that dragon. So really nice job from them. Tempt's gonna eat a little bit of an irritating trade as he's stuck on the miasma, but nothing crazy. Whilst we're talking about that, this dive maybe on the cards.
Oh, they're gonna look for it, but immediately you can see the trade back. The Jinx has nowhere to go. Asper was tanking those with the trade at 1-for-1, but an AD carry for support and possibly a jungler. Skewmond just gets himself back to the safety of his tower, but he needs to leave. One piercing arrow and he'd be dead.
Yeah. Just needed that last Q. Nice execution onto Shiganari. No cleanse. Don't forget. As look at.
Oh my god!
That's what I'm talking about with the Emax. It's so oppressive. Like in a matchup where you can't actually run down the opponent, if you just max E, it's dealing 300 damage at level 9. It's so absurd. Obviously, you'd have the Q max in other matchups, and that's where you see that, you know, the undertows doing like 250 a pop, and that feels very oppressive. But in a lane where you can't really trade back onto the Olaf aggressively in this kind of setup, that's why you go for it, and it's going to yield the benefits of this result as he picks up another play.
Another play, 3,000 gold. Dragon as well, confirmed here by FUT, so they're in a pretty decent spot, all things said and done. They've come out now with basically advantages across the board. It's all little advantages as well that kind of just eke you forward, get you that item completion a little bit early. We love to talk about those item completions. It just changes the dynamic of a champion. It changes how you want to play around certain things and certain players. So getting those nice and early would be very, very good. It's going to be the Everfrost for Tempt, as he does have already 5 stacks onto his Dark Seal.
You get that?
Yeah, I did. I believe he's coming for both of us. Quick, say something about Medjai's. It might quell him.
The book. He's gonna buy it. I promise.
He's gonna buy a book. Do you know what? I'm gonna be that. I'm gonna be that guy. Medjai's Soul Stealer is not a book. Medjai's Soul Stealer is found. It's an entity that is found in an amplifying tome and steals your soul because you looked for magic.
Yeah.
I'll be that guy. The actual book itself is not the Soul Stealer.
Yeah.
I'll tell you guys. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna have to call it out as it is.
Nymera back to the drawing board with a slogan, I guess. Like I don't know, man.
What is the slogan?
Buy the book.
Oh. I thought it was. I don't know why. I thought it would be like I mean, insta cleanse. Right. I don't know if we needed to do that.
It's fine. We can carry on having our conversation. It's
we can have a conversation. I don't know why. I thought it would be a little bit more, not even unique or anything like that. But well, top lane is going to be a little bit of a difficult one to try and get away from, even with the counter strike and that max on the E doing so much. StarScreen does it again.
Yeah, and that's the other thing as well. True damage is true damage. there's no, you know, amplification in stats that can stop that from coming through. So even if you counter strike, it's doing the same thing. It's not dealing slightly less. It's in the mid lane. Eika caught out maybe by Mojito.
I mean, I was gonna say Mojito might actually be able to take this. He's 2 levels down, but he's a goddamn Wukong, and you just do not have the damage right now as a Cassiopeia.
No, you don't. Also say with me, Divine Sunrise is just really powerful. This spike at level 9, level 10, really, really strong. And he's just gonna go towards the Herald now with it. Solo kill for the FUT jungler. Really, really nice. And with Eika off the map, Aegis just can't really do much about it. Tempt's gonna push in the mid lane, and that's gonna show Skewmond's hands. So now FUT also just have perfect information on where everybody is.
I mean, he could maybe take Skewmond down. He's got a hell of a lot of HP, though, with that Balmy Cinder and, of course, the Kindle Gem as well, and even a little Ruby Crystal just on the back of it, so make sure he has the maximum amount of HP he can have with the budget he has been given. That's going to be another objective now going over to the side of FUT. They can get themselves pressure in pretty much any lane. I would prefer to see it in mid, rotate down towards that dragon.
Yep.
Keep the pressure on.
Absolutely. I think one of two things, right? Go towards mid, get dragon. Top side after the dragon if you're able to hold on to the Herald. Also very powerful, right? 600 gold inside of that tier 2. Snowball the Olaf a little bit more, and then you can send them off to the other side lane later on. That's actually one thing I'm very curious to see about is how FUT manage their side lanes without teleport on StarScreen. And just the general macro, right? Dealing with 2 teleports on the opposite side for Aegis. And that could give Aegis the upper hand in the middle to later stages of the game. Just moving around members. Lane assignment's very, very important. It's that play which is fist up.
You can see there that I will say the speed up for Asper versus the Dark Passage for Hantera is a bit of a gap in terms of the cooldown reduction that you're able to get onto that for the moment. So it's definitely a worth trade there for the side of the FUT bot lane. It means they are able to get that second dragon for themselves. We are going to have an Infernal Rift, so very nicely done there. 2v3 in favor of Aegis in this one, but a good flash from the Varus means he's able to get away, but can you get away? That's the question. Flash over the traps means there's nowhere for you to go. The Dark Passage leads to nothing but death. Cyclone from Mojito means he's going to try and turn this one back onto Lot. Good healing in from the Divine Sunderer. He just can't get that damage down. Yeah, and it's just, just so hard for Aegis to make anything work. They committed a teleport to try and make that back.
Yeah, no turnaround play could be had. Mid lane is stuck in the mid side. StarScreen now going to be able to shove out the top side, so Lot's going to have to return back up there to make an answer happen as get a replay. And it's just a bit of a repeat, you know, attempt at Fatihcan's life because he doesn't have cleanse, right? They tried to catch him out earlier. Cleanse was used, but this time Fatihcan's reaction's just too fast, right? I think realistically, as Skewmond, you kind of got to stay in the bush and just throw that bowler out first. You give him that slight fraction more to respond, to react, and that's all the time that Fatihcan needs to flash away from that. And a turnaround play, excellent as come out of the replay. Mid lane, gathering. I don't even know if they're really going to have to use the Herald, to be honest with you. I think they can just get it down on this wave. Decoy as well was still hitting the tower as he left it, so really nice from FUT. And now they can just hold on to the Herald, and like we said, the options were either this mid side, top side tier 2, bottom side tier 1 as well, I guess is really, really low, so maybe they don't want to use it down there. But they've got around 90 seconds or so to figure out an answer. Mojito covering for StarScreen. There's 4 members here, but
yeah, I don't think they win. I don't think they win. I don't think they win. Eika's been deleted. Finally, the barrier can come out here. You can see StarScreen healing up so much. He finally goes down, but you've used so much. You have to use everything just to get a 1-for-1 trade. While that's all happening, Hantera dies. The Blitz and Crank. It's cute, but it's deadly as they look to try and find Skewmond. He won't be going down just yet, and Asper is very, very low. Shiganari gets hit by the Cyclone, trying to flash away, but he gets smacked down by the Monkey King's staff. Lot underneath the tower. Tempt looks for it. One more Q does it, and he flashes from underneath the tower. They're still going. They're between towers. Shirley doesn't know which one she wants to go for. She's gonna have to get everything for this, and this is just FUT exploding the game.
Yeah, FUT blow the game wide open. Aegis, they had something maybe through the mid lane to try and work with, but at this point now, this is starting to feel a little bit insurmountable in terms of being able to ever proactively step up anywhere. StarScreen, yeah, just as soon as he sees Eika get brought in, he's like, oh, thanks for the present. I appreciate that, mate. As healing up off the creeps to try and eventually be able to auto back towards Lot, who had the E up, of course. Very difficult to play around that one as the hook eventually comes through on to the poor war, and the chase down ensues. And somehow, throughout all of this, Mojito, I think his Cyclone was actually on cooldown still at the start of the play, so had it available to kill Shiganari as Tempt gets this chase down well late.
I mean, they're just playing with the food right now. Skewmond almost getting brought back into the fray there to try and get himself back out, but I mean, 14-6 and 9,000 or maybe 8,000 gold lead in favor of FUT. They're just in total control of everywhere around the map. Mojito can come back in onto this bot side as well. They can dive this if they really want to. I don't think Skewmond can really do much else about this and to help his top laner.
Nope, don't think he can with the poke. Really annoying. Divine Thunder is there in terms of passive proc. That was an overblown from a lot, but like it's just an immediate disengage. No one really cares. There's one creep there. Is that going to be enough to get this? It will be. And they're going to look for the fight as well.
I mean, this is starting to get rough for Aegis. And LFL, not used to having this many losses in a day. Double kill comes in for the Varus, and look, there's only so much you can do. And I will say, as a caster, because you always have to do this, if the game goes to 40 minutes, we get the super late game, absolutely Aegis can come back. But this feels like, unless FUT makes some massive mistakes and big kind of judgments of where they can take this fight, it's not going to happen. Shiganari just cannot escape right now. Tempt just chasing him down on this Ahri, doing everything in front of his face, on top of the traps almost.
Yeah, on top
now
of the
Eika
traps.
has nowhere to go.
Bye-bye. Dead. Boot connects.
There's a snake in my boot. I don't know. I watched Toy Story the other day. Watched it on the flight home.
Good.
Still a great movie.
Yeah.
Did you know? Well, I was just about to say, did you know that all the adults, because you don't actually see like a lot of the, like anyone except for the Sid kid's face, all the adults have the same face. They all have Andy's face, I believe. So it's kind of terrifying. It's like when you kind of zoom out and make it look like that. It's really scary.
Do you want to know another fact, which is probably going to make you feel old, to be fair? Go on. Which is why I'm doing
I'm already old, man. I'm hitting 30 this year.
Toy Story. Now, granted, this is going to be the case for a lot of people that play League of Legends anyway, but Toy Story came out 4 years before I was born. The first one. So it came out in '95.
I mean, I was only 2 at the time, so like, I'm not. I'm just like, Jesus, that was a long time ago.
It was. It really was. I still grew up on the movie, though. For me,
of course,
the GOAT Pixar movie from that era is Monsters Inc.
Oh yeah, hands down.
It's just
hands down. Because it was scary as well as a kid. Like I remember being afraid of it. Like I remember being like, oh my god, that's so terrifying. But then like kind of like seeing both, like being very conflicted because Sully was both scary and cool, and I was like, I don't know how to feel about this. 8-year-old Oshin was not sure what to do with the newfound complex emotions that he had just discovered.
Well, speaking of scary and terrifying, I think this gold lead is something that Aegis fans might be shying away from. I think for FUT, it's just about closing out this game and just doing it as cleanly and as efficiently as they can. Make sure they don't give over on any unnecessary kills, shutdowns, anything like that. Giving Aegis any kind of opportunity. Asper's just going to play sort of human ward bodyguard, but they've got complete information. Aegis have pretty much nothing to work with here. 4K, 3K. Rocket.
Oh, no. Rocket, not good enough. Went down to 500 in fairness. If Skewmond could have gotten himself over the wall, there was an opportunity, but it wasn't to happen. Charm lands on the Hantera. He flashes away. The Ahri is dead, losing all those beautiful stacks. But now the Cyclone onto 5 members means they're going to get a bit of damage, but nobody can follow up on it. And there's 2 kills going over to Aegis. You've got 3 Barons left. This isn't 100% gone now. A 3-man counter-strike. And oh no, FUT maybe trying to run this one away. The Olaf trying to go in, picks up 1 kill, maybe 1 more. It's 2 kills for the Olaf, and he just about gets taken out. Ends up being a 3-for-2 in favor of Aegis, but FUT, you gotta make sure you keep the foot on the gas. And they are. Yeah, Shiganari flashes away. Does not want anything to do with that, but loses the summer, keeps his life.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, imagine if FUT were actually ready for the turnaround play there. I don't think they recognized how powerful StarScreen actually is in that choke as well, but Rocket doesn't connect, or it does, but rather doesn't get stolen away from. What happens here to Tempt? Just death sentence, alright. Into that death. And the Mojito goes a little bit too far, right? No one can really follow up on this damage, even though the engage is quite good, right? He's knocking out so many members. Just nothing can really come of it. And then this flash forward from locks up 3 members. Fatihcan and Asper are not really committed to making a turnaround play happen. So StarScreen on his 1v5 Thanos shenanigans snaps these 2 people out of existence. Not quite 50-50.
No, not quite. Not quite. Needs to go back to Matt's class about that and figure that one out. I will say I would have preferred StarScreen to maybe jump onto Shiganari rather than the support in jungle. It works, but you know that damage
Honestly,
could have been a little bit better.
You have to also remember, right? The way that the Ragnarok works is you have to E or auto something, otherwise it times out.
True.
The auto attacks and the E's give you 2.5 seconds, so you always have to be kind of judging that in your mind. Can I make it on top of this target to keep Ragnarok active? It's not just about the disable, don't forget, right? That ultimate gives you so much extra AD. I think that's the part, if they ever do decide to give Olaf another pass, because I think he needs another nerf, to be honest with you. I think they just need to let him have slightly less AD on the Ragnarok. It's so ridiculous. Like level 11, you can have like close to 80 extra AD. Oh my god!
That was blind. That was blind. I want to tell you now, Asper just goes over the wall and goes, wouldn't it be mad if someone was right behind this wall? And lo and behold, might want to buy a lotto ticket later after this, because that was a pretty lucky hook. Does break open the base over that top side. You're getting Lot in the bot lane trying to get something going for his team, a bit of an objective bounty, but 12,000 gold, and honestly it can continue to go. They still have Baron up minions, so it's going to have to keep the Jinx there in that top side to make sure that they can actually go for something. And yeah, look, you got a bit of movement now with Asper to get that Hex Splash back over the wall.
Yep, Asper hit that first one, real slick. Like you said, blind, won't hit that one. Creep does his best to get behind me, Mr. President, but this inhibitor should surely fall. Aegis, I mean, they have to just make a bit of a Hail Mary play, don't they? Sooner or later, at this point, they're just going to lose all their structures. They're not going to be able to turtle against this big of a lead. I think Infernal Dragon, probably give it up, unless you really want to just try and make your play there. But either way, a decision has to be made soon, because I think at this point, FUT playing rather clinical. I think it's just that one Baron call where they go for the turnaround. A little bit disjointed, right? A little bit hypey. Aside from that, they've been on the ball.
Look, it's not feeling good right now for Aegis. They will go into Friday's games knowing that unless a massive miracle happens right now, they're going to be 0-3. So not only do you got to try and take 3 wins, you're kind of at a point there where you need results to go against other teams. You need teams to start dropping random games, and not even one particular team. It's gonna it gets into a weird scope where you're kind of almost hoping that Mojito takes it 6-0 in the group, and then you're kind of like picking off the rest of the teams. So we'll see what they're able to kind of work with, because even then, if both both Movistar, Machko, and FUT are all on 2-1, it becomes even harder, despite everyone being closer in kind of score. So we'll get a couple of objective bounties while the Infernal Soul is confirmed. So honestly, I like this play coming out from Aegis. You're never going to be able to contest this Infernal Soul. At least get something to get in. And you're on 3 items onto Eika, so that's still significant damage if they can get the right fight.
Yeah, if they can get the right fight. That's the crucial part though, right? If they can get the right fight. And so far, every fight has been right for FUT. Hex Flash, I'm not going to commit on the pool, but pressure's already felt. Mid lane, inhib's going to drop. Pokes coming through from Fatihcan as well. Chains Corruption, that connects. Damage onto Eika. A lot
of damage. There's going to be the ult from the Sejuani just to disengage, and you can see this on-hit Varus starting to melt through a little bit of the health bar there of Skewmond, who's got so much available to him. We'll see them kind of pushing in. Middle inhibitor did go down. Top lane's actually been dealt with pretty well by Aegis, so they got plenty of time before those super minions do kind of come up. But the problem is, the further you push it in, the longer it kind of gets stacked up. And with those double super minions, potentially even triple super minions in that top lane, you are going to kind of run out of space to re-defend here. Final inhibitor turret goes down. Aegis, you gotta go for something. You don't have the Glacial Prison. You used it to disengage, and you can see how hard it is for them to make a play.
Yeah, they just can't. They can't throw their bodies into FUT because they know now. It seems like FUT, no, they're not gonna back away. They just kind of give the space over a little bit. A little bit of a window as the Superman is cleared out, and that'll be the third inhibitor. Ooh. Tempt.
Oh, Charm is good. They're going to be able to get Eika as well. That's going to be the confirmation of the Snake Lady going down. You can see the Ragnarok is Ragnarocking all the way to the Nexus turrets. There's going to be a good hook. It's onto the Ahri, but there's not much else to be done. Hantera will be the final man standing, and it is going to be Aegis going 0-3. But a good bounce back from FUT puts them on to 2-1 here in Group B.
2-1 sets them up nicely for their next day of games. And it keeps their fate in their hands, crucially, right? You go to 1 and 2, obviously fate's in your hands, but slightly steeper hill. Aegis, however, gotta do some soul searching. Gotta figure out what they need to do.
Yeah.
Because now 0-3, the way that the standings look as well, chances are it's gonna be kind of a tight race on the top half. We still have Movistar and Machko yet to play, and we'll have to see how that result turns out. I think the worst case result for them really is that it ends up being 2-1 across the board on the rest of the score lines, and Aegis is at 0-3 in that group. So yeah, need to do something. But for FUT, really, really clean game. It felt like they just had control of all the skirmishes and never really gave Aegis much of a window, and it just felt like a very similar taste of the previous game we saw from Aegis, where, you know, they're just kind of waiting, right? And FUT happy to take advantage of that with all of the skirmishing power they have available to the top side in particular.
Yeah, and I do believe we have Mojito from FUT ready to talk to us here as we come after the victory there. But obviously, first of all, congratulations on your win. You end the day 2-1. Before we talk about the Aegis game, I got to talk about the Matchco one, because I think it was a little bit of a surprise for you guys. Are you kind of, you know, you taking it with yourselves on your stride, or are you a little bit disappointed you dropped it?
Yeah, I think that game we could definitely easily win. I think we did pretty bad in fights. I think we played really poorly in fights. I think if we coordinated better in fights, it was kind of easy win for us. Other than that, it going well. So yeah, all good, I think. One lose doesn't change anything for us.
No, it's obviously always best of ones. It's always how they kind of go. But obviously, this is the first time we are seeing the Turkish league now in the previously EU Masters, and I'm kind of curious about your opinion about it as well. Like, how are you finding kind of the differences between, say, like, the Turkish league and now coming into kind of a much shorter EMEA? Are you finding the competition that different, or kind of all the same?
I think similar. I think EMEA similar with like MSI Worlds planes, I would say. Yeah, I think it's like kind of similar.
Interesting to get the gauge. Yeah. I then do want to kind of bounce off that question a little bit and say, you've had your first day of games now. Obviously, as well, your fellow representatives with IW have had their sense of games too. Not only, obviously, you've kind of just described to us the feel of the tournament, but how far do you feel like the TCL can get in a tournament like this? Do you feel like you can, be sort of the region that can contest the likes of the LFL and the Spanish dominance that we've seen over the last couple of years?
I mean, I think we just proved with the last game that we played. I think we can contest LFL first place, second place, same with LVP, I would say. So I think the difference is not high between the teams. So it will be close games, I would say, if we meet them on like quarter or semi or on final. But yeah, I think definitely TCL can beat LFL or LVP.
That's awesome to hear. It's always great to get the more competition. But I have one more question before we let you go for your evening. I'm quite sure you have plenty to be talking about before your next games in the next few days. But outside of the TCL, is there any one particular team you guys are kind of, fearing, or at least showing a lot of respect towards, and maybe hoping to kind of maybe avoid towards, until finals?
I think Geo. I think Geo looks like the best team right now, in my eyes. So yeah, I think only scary team is Geo right now. Other than that, I don't really care when I go into match.
That's awesome to hear. Again, congratulations on your wins today. We will see you again on Friday, and good luck with the rest of the tournament.
Thanks for having me. Bye.
Thank you. Well, there you go. Geo and FUT going to be in the finals. I'm sorry, we didn't mean to leak the script, but that's just how it goes. I'm sorry. Sometimes it happens.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see whether or not we just have the script leak here this early on. But this was a much dominating game for FUT, right? And I think, a lot of mistakes definitely made by Aegis, but at the end of the day, it also takes a lot to punish those mistakes. And I think mechanically, FUT were just a step above Aegis as well. And just utilizing the strength of their champions, always making the turnaround plays happen. Mojito as well actually had a pretty strong game. We don't really do MVPs here, but if we did, I feel like he would definitely be getting it out.
We also wouldn't get a vote in it, much like LPL.
No, much like LPL, yeah, we wouldn't get a vote. But he would definitely be up there. And having that one. StarScreen as well, obviously individually stomped the top side matchup. Did a really, really good job there. Nice adaptation as well on the Emax like we called out. And yeah, FUT, especially with the Blitzcrank pick as well. It was kind of an attack on all fronts, right? I feel you could very happily say. And hopefully they can carry on this momentum for the TCL region moving into their next day of games.
Yeah, and of course, if you're just kind of joining in, you're wondering why there's actually 2 groups happening at the same time. They're both playing kind of 3 games. Each team is playing 3 games every day, so we are kind of having picking and choosing which ones we want to look for. We started with Group C. We are now moving into our 6th game of the day, but our 3rd game of Group B. And yeah, I mean, like for FUT, there was definitely some moments here where they got a little bit overzealous. I definitely feel like they definitely overplayed their hands just a little bit towards the bigger objectives. But when you're at this far ahead, when you have such a massive gold lead, it really does feel like it's going to take 5 or 6 of these before you're really worried about a comeback.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really just about. I mean, you can see, right, for the Aegis composition where things could definitely look to come online when you see an overstep like that, but when you're that far down in gold, it's just not going to happen. It's just going to be too powerful. And FUT, again, just continue to slap the French side with their wallets. And Aegis, as we mentioned, now going into that 0-3 date, when they return back to the EMEA groups, going to have to do a little bit of a hope and a prayer. Matchco are going to have to do them a favor as well against Movistar.
Yeah.
To give them a slightly easier route in. I think mathematically, as take a look at that gold graph. PGB, 13,500 gold peak towards the end of the game, but it just goes up and up and up.
Yeah, I mean, look, for Aegis, I think it's kind of a little mini miracle that they're here, to be perfectly honest. Like, they ended up week 4, I believe, or even week 5, kind of 4 and 5 in the LFL standings, and then just went on this absolutely insane win streak throughout the LFL and got themselves kind of in a position where, like, yeah, you're top 2, congratulations, with 3 spots to go. There's no one really to kind of drop out of this. So, they were guaranteed a top 3 to get themselves into EMEA, but, 0-3, definitely not what you want to be starting with. We are going to send it to a quick break, though, and when we return, we are going to have Movistar Riders versus Matchco in what is going to certainly be a banger. We'll see you soon.
Even the biggest champ needs a break.